Hello Steelers, and welcome to this next After Action Report, Battle Report. This is going to be for I Ain't Been Shot Mum. I recently did a review of this and it reminded me how much I actually enjoyed the game, and I realised that although they were some of my first actual proper Wargaming battle reports on the channel, I've not actually got back to it for about three years now. I did a couple of solo examples at the start of the lockdown, the UK lockdown, so we're talking 2019 at least now. So yeah, it's got to be 3 years ago. And I've actually not touched the game since then. However, when I was reading the game for the review, I realised exactly how much I enjoyed this game and how much of a good game it is as well. It's great stuff for the level it's at. Back then as well also, I didn't actually have many Western European forces. I had the Germans, of course, but most of my stuff at the time was actually for the Far East, so Malaya. So I did a good couple of games of Malaya, and also Eastern Front as well, which has always been a mainstay of my collection anyway. But I didn't really have any Western armies. Since then, I've created a force of British for O Group and also Americans as well. But it means that I can actually play a couple of the scenarios that are in the original book itself, and that's what I'm going to do today in this particular game. And this is going to be scenario number one. This is north of Caen. So this is 1944, the breakout around Caen. It says, I'll just read it out to you. This is a non-historical scenario designed to be simple introduction to the rules. Also, back when I did the original videos, I didn't have the reach that I do nowadays with the channel. So it's nice to be able to go back to something, you know, and show probably a lot more people who've maybe missed the old videos something new as well that they may not be aware of. It says the forces are involved in a purely infantry, with the British having a pre-battle stonk, which is the bombardment, to prepare a way for their attack. The scenario is set in the north of Caen around the start of July and involves a British company attacking with a limited objective of seizing a small hamlet around a road junction. So we've got that down here. I'll show you the table properly in a second. We also, just to quickly go through the forces as well, it is recent patrols inform us that the small hamlet of Le Moulin has been occupied by German troops, probably forming an outpost ahead of their mainline defences. Meanwhile, the Germans on the other side are going to be defending. So it's pretty a simple setup. British infantry forces attacking Germans. Very little in the way of support. There's a couple of German machine guns. The British have got some 2-inch mortars attached to each of their platoons as well. But it gives me a chance just to, again, to refresh myself of the game, and also just to show you, you know, a very typical basic game of I Ain't Been Shot Mum, and a great game it is too. Hopefully you'll enjoy it as much as I've always enjoyed this game, and it might kickstart me into actually playing it again, either maybe down at the club or with friends as well. And if that happens, hopefully I'll probably get some videos out of that as well. So, as always, what I'll do is I'll show you the forces that we got involved in there behind me. I'll show you the table that they're fighting over, and then we'll just get stuck in and crack on with this game of I Ain't Been Shot Mum. Okay, so we're starting with the German defenders over here. You can see we've basically got 2 platoons. Each of these are very simple. They're just made up of 3 Zug, each of 8 men. So I've got, these are multiple based, but I've also chucked in a couple of single based figures as well, just to make those up, so I can remove casualties and not mess about having tabs and tokens and things all over the place if I can avoid it. We also have a company's headquarters as well, which we've got here. So this is actually led by Lieutenant Jürgen Klemp, level 3 big man. So that's our number 1 over here. I've got them on little bases that I use for sharp practice, so I'd know who's who. He's got a pal with him, the Get Fighter Hans Bayer, level 1, big man there. And then each of these Zugs are both led by, this is the first one, this is Max Mitter, he's a level 2. And then we've got Feldwebel Kurt Adler over here, he's a level 3 big man. So we've got quite a mix of talents and people in here. We've also got as well these 2 MMGs. These are 2 tripod MG42s with 5 crew each. Now these can be cascaded down into the platoons themselves, or they can be used as a company headquarters. I've decided to cascade them down into the platoons, so they're going to be part of each of these. So I'm going to split one into each of them just to add that little bit extra firepower for them as well. You can see here I've also got the cards, so these are the ones that are ready to go. So I've got the Axis cards here, and I've also got the Axis blinds, the T card, T-break, and also the Allied blinds cards there as well, ready to go. Because it is a card-driven system. If you've watched my review, you will know this. Then over here we have the British forces, and these are, again, this is another platoon, sorry, another company, and this is led by Captain Arthur Jones, level 3. This is our company leader. We also have 1, 2, 3 platoons once again. First one is led by Lieutenant Jack Watson. He's a level 3, so this is this guy over here. Each of these platoons are made up of 3 rifle sections, each of 8 men. So once again, I've got, because I've only mounted 2 British figures on each of my bases for O group, I'm just adding, so I've got 2, 4, 6, 8 men. So again, we've got those individuals just for casualty removal, and also it just makes things moving about. This is one of the things with I Ain't Been Shot Mum, just to mention here, is because you have a lot of figures in each platoon, and this is a small game, to be honest, you do end up moving a lot around. So having them on multiple bases works really well, but then also having a few individuals here just to casualty removal really helps as well. So each of these are made up, as I say, 3 sections, and then also 3 rifle sections, and then also a mortar team with 2 men as well. So we've got, each one's got a 2-inch mortar, so close by. I mentioned it, so we got platoon 1. This is Jack Watson. He's a level 3. Lieutenant Toby Scott down here, he's a level 2, and then we also have Sergeant Mick McAlpine is level 3 over here. The names don't really mean anything, they're just adding a little bit of historical flavour, a little bit of role playing that the Too Fat Lardies like to do. But these, it just adds a little bit of nice immersion into the game as much as anything else. So this is the British attack, there's the German defenders. Let's have a look at the table and I can show you what is going to happen here. So just to show you here is the scenario as it is in the book. This is scenario 1, as I say, north of Caen, and you can see here this is the table itself as it should be, and this is my version of it. So I'm going to just pull out and just show you, just get that into focus there. You can see we've got the cornfields at the top of the north where the British are advancing down, a couple of open spaces here, a couple of orchards, and also over here we've got a clump of trees and some more trees, and then a couple of buildings as well, and the orchards at the back there. We've also got a ploughed field at the back as well, which is hard going, so that is -1 movement, -1 pip for every movement dice that you use on that. The cornfields will offer, they make it harder to spot if you're in the cornfields, but they don't offer cover. And the Germans are over here, you can see they're already on blinds, so we've got 1 and 2. I'm not using dummies in this particular game, simply because there's not a great deal of point, to be perfectly honest. I just wanted to show you how things work anyway. And the British are on 3 blinds over here, so they're platoons. So what I'll do is with their HQ, I'll decide where they are going to go, and they will go in separately into with the platoons. Same with the Germans. As I say, the Germans, I've split them down anyway from the having the MMGs. They're going to be added to the platoon. You might not be able to see it, but that platoon is actually in the building. The game is going to open with the 3 British stonks on the Germans. So this is very simple. They basically find a 12-inch square. Each stonk is a 12-inch square, and you roll for any damage underneath it, basically. So they are going to obviously target those 2 platoons. We'll roll for it in the open, because we're going to have to. Normally you would do it either with your umpire or the player who is getting the stonk would roll these dice, but I will roll them in the open so we know what the casualty removal is before the game starts. It's a bit of a fudge, but we are playing solo, and as I say, it's on the learning one anyway. There are ways you can make things a little more tricksy if you wanted to, but I'm not going to go into them here. And anyway, I'm waffling now. I'm waffling about solo wargaming. Let's get on with the game and start those stonks. Okay, so first things first is the British stonks, and the British have got 3 of these. Now, normally, I guess in this kind of game, if you had an umpire, you would have the German platoons off the table, even the blinds. They're on blinds at the moment. but they'd be off the table, so the British wouldn't actually know where they're firing. I'm twisting the rules slightly in that I can actually see where these actually are. So we've got, you know, a platoon in and around this building, another platoon here in and around these fields here, or this hedge line. So what I'm going to do is, the stonks are 12-inch square, so 1, 2, that's about a square there. And the British have got 3 of them, so they're going to drop one on here, and then they're going to drop another one on the 2 of the others onto this building as well here. So this obviously represents 2 platoons. I'll just show you, because obviously, so this is platoon 2 here, and then we've got platoon 1 over there as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the damage done by the stonks, because this should be done off table. And then we'll just get on with the game itself. So what this is doing is basically softening up the Germans before the British attack, because obviously it's quite difficult for just 3 platoons to attack 2 platoons. You really want a 3-to-1 advantage if you can. So hopefully this is going to swing it a little bit in the British favour, or at least make that attack slightly easier for them. So here we've got our 2 German platoons, platoon 1, platoon 2. This is the one that's only taking 1 stonk, this is the one that's taking 2 stonks. So for each individual element within those platoons, we roll a dice and just work through for each stonk that hits them. So in the first one, for example, we've got 1, 2, 3 Zug, and then also the crude weapon here. So each one of those is going to take 1 hit. This doesn't affect big men, but it does affect it's either going to cause death or shock on these troops. Now, to get rid of shock, they have to be off the blinds, so it's also crippling the Germans a little bit in that they either come off blinds to get rid of shock if they've got loads of it, or they hold on as long as they can on blinds and they can't be shot at. But we'll get to that as we get to it. So anyway, first up, so I'm just going to work my way through, because these ones are taking 1 hit each. We roll the dice, check the stonk table. First one has taken a 3. That is 1 dead and 2 shock. So I'm just going to start removing these and then putting that shock straight onto these. So as I say, that's already an issue that they've got to deal with, at least with the first Zug anyway. So the second one is a 1. That is 2 dead and 4 shock. So I'm just going to take those 2 off there, and then we have 4 shock as well, so that then goes on there. So already you can see they're getting pretty softened up at this point. The last one here, this one is 3 shock. So no dead, but 3 shock. And obviously shock affects movement and firing. And then we've got the crude weapon, so this is slightly different table. It is a 2, this is 1 dead and 4 shock. So we take one of the crew off here and then add 4 shock. So that is just the first stonk, so that's done quite a lot of good work, really. Straight up, that's stopping the Germans moving about, and also not really helping them fire. So we're going to do the same again. We're working our way through each of these. This time these ones are taking 2 hits each, so I'm just going to work my way through. First one at the front is a 2 and a 3. So the 2 is 1 dead and 3 shock, and the 3 is 1 dead and 2 shock. So that's 5 shock in total and 2 dead. Poor chaps. There we go. So they haven't yet lost bottle, but they are close to it. Second one, a 1 and a 4. 1 is 2 dead and 4 shock, and the 4 is 3 shock, so that's actually put them up to 7 shock. So yeah, this is battering them quite badly. So it's going to make it a lot easier for the British to advance, I think. That was 2 dead as well off them. So I think we'll have to check their bottle. They're close, 7. They will probably have to withdraw if they get take any more shock. The third one here is no effect for a 5, so that's good for them, but then 2 dead and 4 shock for that 1. The interesting thing about the stonk table is that it's not your typical 1 to 6, you know, 1 being rubbish, 6 being good. It's actually quite mixed up. So let's see, last one is the crude weapon, 2 hits on that. You can't see what that was, so I'm going to re-roll both of those. I rolled it out. I've rolled that one out of the camera as well because I knocked it over. That's double 3. So that is 1 dead, 2 shock each for those, so that is actually 4 shock and 2 dead as well on that crude weapon. It's still going to be firing at full effect until there. But the Germans then have lost 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 men in total out of their platoon. So that has quite badly shot up these guys over here. So the big men are going to have to do quite a lot of work early on to make sure that they reduce that shock. That's basically how stonks work. Dead easy, dead simple. Right, well, let's actually get on with the game itself. Okay, first things first. First card, and it is Allied blinds. Right, so this is the British blinds. When they're on blinds, they get 4 actions, which they can do what they want with. So let's see what the British are going to do. Can you guess? They're probably going to do an advance. Okay, this is going to be a nice simple thing, really. I kind of want these two to be coming in around this side here to deal with the one at the back, while this blind here will pin the Germans in that field over there. So we're going to start with these guys and we're just going to move forward. They're going to do a full advance. There's no point trying to spot the Germans at this point, maybe in the next turn, but right now we're just going to advance. So that's 6 and 6 and 4, so that's 12, 14, 16 inches for the first ones, and these are just, as I say, they're staying in that field, so they're going to be still difficult to see, but they are at least getting forward. And then these ones here, so when you're on a blind you can basically, though that's not very good, that's 2, 4, 6 inches for these ones. When you're on a blind you can move basically as you really want to, so that's why you get 4 dice, and you also it's easier to move through terrain as well. We've got 4, 8, 12, 15 inches for this one, so this is the one I wanted to get moving a bit more anyway, so just jump them down to that bottom end there. So that ends the Allied blinds turn, nice and simple. Then our next card is T-break. So anybody that's automatically spotted will then be deployed. There is nobody who's automatically spotted, so we'll just shuffle and start again, see what happens with these. Germans are going to probably want to be trying to spot those British as they're coming in, but let's just see if they get a chance to or not. So first card for this turn is Allied blinds again, so let's see what they do with that. So it's the first bit of spotting. We're going to try to spot with this British blind against the German one here. They're 26 inches away, I've measured it, point to point. So that means these are in slightly obscured because they're behind hedges. That means they need an 11 or more to spot them. However, these actually have 4 actions, so they could use the other 3 to give that a +3, or they could try it to get over 11 on 2d6 4 times, if that makes sense. There's probably a little less chance of actually getting over 11 on 2d6, even 4 times. So what they're going to do is going to add that 3 to it. So they need an 8 up, first of all. So this is their first attempt, only attempt should I say. That's an 8. So they have spotted those Germans there. So this is platoon 2. So these will now be placed on the table. This in a way gives the Germans a slight advantage because it means they can now start reducing the shock that they had. So we've got to place their units within the area that the blind was, or within a couple of inches of it at least. So let me just get these on the table. And it also means that they can now spot, but they can also now be fired at as well, which is the disadvantage for them. So let me just get these set up because there's quite a few of them, and I'll show you where we are with them. So German platoon 1 has suddenly appeared in this hedge line. So basically we've got the section here, the Zug here, another one here on the edge, and also that MMG. They put a third one in reserve in the light cover at the back there. They've also brought on their big man number 2 as well with this. So this is, let me remember his name, Gefreiter Hans Beyer. He's only a level 1, but at least he's there to help reduce shock and things when his numbers come up. And this is platoon 2, so this is Kurt Adler. So because of that, we now then put in some of the cards as well, the German cards, into the deck. So at the end of the turn, these will come out. These will be operating on a blind card until the end of the turn. So we've got Axis Platoon 2, Big Man 4, which is Kurt Adler. We've got Big Man 2 as a Gefreiter, and then also the Axis machine gun bonus, because we've got machine guns on the table now, so they will get a bonus if that card comes up. They just then go into the discard pile and they will be shuffled in at the tea break. So we've still got those Germans on the table. So the British, well, we've got some Germans on the table, so the British are now aware of where they are. They still wanted to take their attack down this side of the table rather than pushing it up. This blind is going to be basically a blocking force to fight those ones there while these two do some manoeuvring here. So we're going to move our first blind here, try to get them out of the way of the Germans. This time this one's moving at 13. I want to get him up here to this fence line, so at least they're in some kind of cover, so when the Germans do try to spot, it's going to be difficult. And the other one here on the other side, oh, they're good. That's 12 and 8, so 20 inches for these. These are absolutely bombing it. So let's just see, 20 inches. They're actually going to be crossing a hedge line there, so I'm going to take 4 inches off. So they're just actually up on that fence line instead. But that's pushing forward as they should be. That was the end of the blinds turn for the Allies, you can see there, and as I say, I'll put in those Axis cards as well into there. So next card is Axis blinds, so the Germans get to do something now. So the platoon that's arrived, they will now activate on this card, so they can do stuff. They can't do a great deal, but they can at least do something. They've got a few actions, so they're going to probably try to spot these the blinds that are facing them with the British over here. So this British blind is about 23 inches away from the Germans over here. So they're going to try to spot. Each one of these will try spotting individually. They've only got 3 actions because they're now on the table, so they can do an attempt to spot, but they're only going to get an extra +2 onto it, or they can do 3 spotting actions. The MMG is going to the MMG is going to go last because they might fire. So we're going to start with the section, the Zug on the right. I always call them sections; they're not their platoon. Oh no, they are sections. So we're starting on a 11 up, but they're going to use their extra 2 actions to add on to that spotting, so that's going to take them to a 9 up. So the first one, 11, so they have spotted them, so this means the other ones are going to get to fire. So this is platoon 3 for the British. I'll just get these set up and then we'll do some firing, I think. Okay, so first of all, we've got some German firing then. So we've got the section and also the MMG are going to open up, and they're just using their 3 actions to fire with this. So the first section, it's got 3 shock on it. They are around 23 inches away from these British. They're just going to fire at this section here just to make things easier because it's directly in front of them. So their range is over 18, so it's long range for the Germans first of all, and this is only going to be an okay shot, I would say. But they're rolling 3 dice, -3 because they've got 3 shock. So we roll the dice, add them up. So that's 8, 10, -3 is 7. We check on the chart for an okay shot, and that is 1 off them hitting at least 1 British. So desultory fire from the first Zug. However, we've now got the German machine gun, the MMG, so that is also firing with 3 dice. This is a -4 though. Because it's an MMG, if it's over 18, it's at a better range band than the previous. These are going to fire at this section here. And this again is an okay shot because they're firing into cornfields. It's not great and it's not poor. Oh, that's terrible. 6 -4 is 2, so that again is a 0 hit on the fire chart. So the Germans have opened fire, but nothing has happened for it. And then also, just to show you here, I've actually put in the 2 cards for the Allied Big Man 4 and the Allied Platoon 3, so they're going to go in. Obviously the next card is going to be I'll just draw it here anyway, it's the tea break. I know that because it hadn't come up, so I'll shuffle the cards and we'll start drawing again. So first card for the next turn is Axis machine gun bonus. Excellent, so the Germans get to rattle off that machine gun again. Let's see if they do any dabbies this time. So we're firing once again at effective range, and again it's an okay shot. -4 though because they're firing. So a bonus card just means that they don't have to activate to do this, they're just firing. It's a machine gun, of course it's going to fire. So we've got a 9, -4, that takes us down to 5. That's 1 hit. So they were firing at the same targets over here. 1 hit. Then we roll no suppression or anything. We just roll to see what happens to them. 5 or a 6 is a kill. 3, 4 is shock. So that's a 1. Nothing. No effect. So far the German firing hasn't been great. Next card then is Allied Big Man 4. This is Mick Alpine, and he's a level 3 sergeant. So that means he's got 3 activations, so he can activate up to 3 sections, including the mortar if he wants to, and I think he's going to. So what he's going to do is I'm going to get 2 sections to fire, probably put some more fire down on that MMG, and then also put some smoke down on that MMG to stop it from firing as well. Right, so I've got a bit of tricky manoeuvre in here. So I've got old Mick McAlpine. He wants to shift these 2 units forward, but also keep them in some kind of cover. So what he's going to do, and fire as well. So what he's going to do is going to move them forward, get them to fire, and then put them on take cover as well. The firing is probably going to be desultory, but that's not the point. First of all, though, he's going to get the smoke to fire from this, from the mortar, the 2-inch mortar over here. This has got a range of 18-inch. Well, up to 18-inch. No, it's a bit longer, I think, than that. So the idea is basically they want to get some smoke in down here. I think its effective range is 18-inch. It's not very clear in the rules, but I've read elsewhere on the internet that, you know, some people have basically formed up, put some ideas together, and I think this is basically how it works. So you basically drop the smoke in 3-inch by 1-inch, then you roll a deviation dice, and along with a 6-inch, and that's how far it moves unless it hits on target. So let's just see where it goes. This might affect things. So it goes that way, 6 inches. So that's actually going to fall behind where they wanted it. So that's not great, but that it kind of blocks their line of sight at least from behind there, and that will last for 3 turns. You've got 3 shots of smoke from each mortar, 4 shots of smoke from each mortar. This lasts for 3 tea break turns. So when the next tea break turn comes up, it goes. The third one comes up, it goes off. However, that doesn't really affect what the rest of the unit wants to do. And as I say, these are both going to move forward, go to ground, but fire before they do. So with that in mind, I'm going to fire at that MMG to try and bring it down. So the first one, I'm going to move them first of all. So it's just 1d6, 5 inches for these ones. So I'm trying to close that range a little bit. It's a bit dangerous with there being an MMG kicking about there. We'll move Mick up with them as well, so he can stay with them. I'll move the other one, same again, 6-inch. So that is 6-inch. Sorry, D6-inch I was going to say, but they've actually moved 6 inches. And both of these are going to take shots at that MMG as they move up. And then they're going to go to ground. So I'm just going to put that go to ground marker on them. I'm using the tactical marker from Chain of Command, but it basically means the same thing. What it does, it just increases their cover by 1 range band. So it's going to make it harder for them to be shot at. It costs an action to do. They are both now firing with 1d6 at that MMG. So let's see where we're at. We are now on 18 inches. So that's closer range for the MMG, but not close range for the... That's effective range for the infantry. Again, it's going to be an okay shot, so we're looking really at a 5 or a 6 to actually cause a hit on either one of these. So I'm going to roll them both together. So we're looking for 5s and 6s on either of these. 1 is nothing, a 6 is actually 2 hits, doesn't cause any pins, but it does hit. 5 or 6 is the kill, 3, 4 is shock. 2 more shock on that MMG, so that is... Although it's not destroying it, it is effectively grinding it down at least. So that now has more shock than men. So that is going to be losing its bottle, I think. Yeah, so they've actually lost their bottle. So they've got 4 men in that team. They've got 6 shock. That means that for every excess shock, they will withdraw 2 inches. So that's 4 inches they fall back. Unfortunately for the British, they don't interpenetrate the unit behind them, but they have actually fallen back into that cover, but behind that smoke screen, which I guess is narrative. So they're going to have to start recovering some shock, I think. Good work there, really, for the British in the first place. Next card up then is Axis Big Man 4. So this is this is Kurt Adler. He's a level 3 Feldwebel. So that's pretty good, actually. He could potentially get rid of some shock down here, and I think that's probably what he's going to do. I'm just going to reduce shock off the sections he's with, and he's going to use up as much as he can. So he's Big Man 4. He can take 3 shock off, so I'm just going to get rid of it and hope that their platoon card comes up later on. Just done that. Okay, Allied blinds. So the British are now going to get those blinds moving as well. So we're back on this side of the table. You can see we've got the British blinds over here. We've got one behind this orchard. We've got another one here on the edge of this fence line. They're both wanting to push around to get into some kind of position. So hopefully I'm going to try to get one of them here so they can be then firing at that building and the platoon there whilst the other one comes around the side to attack them. That's the overall plan. So first one first. These are going to move. They're crossing this obstacle, so they're taking 1d6 off, and they have moved 5 and 5, so that is 10 for them. So let's just shift these up here. So as I said, they're just trying to get forward as much as they can. Same with the other one, they're crossing an obstacle. They're trying to get to the centre, this area here in the middle. Excuse me. So this is 4 and 5, so that's 9 inches for them. So they are close to it. Not perfect, but getting there. So the Germans are going to have to start to react to this, I think. Next draw. Allied Platoon 3. Okay, so this is the one that has already done quite a lot of stuff. They've only got one unit that can actually activate now because the other 3, the mortars and the 2 sections, have already activated, so they're just going to get them to move. So we'll do that quickly. So that was this unit here. All they've done is they've moved 4 inches, sorry, 2d6. They got to there and they've just gone tactical. So again, just making it harder for them to be hit. That's it. So see what the next card is. Flipping that over, this is Axis Platoon 2. So this is the bits and pieces of the platoon that the Germans have got over there. So we'll do some firing, I think, with them. Okay, first of all, I'm going to do the less complicated firing. So we've got this one here, and these 2 Zug are going to fire over the British. Both of these, just got to check actually, one of them has only got 6 men left in it, so it is actually only getting, this one's only got 2 actions. I do forget about that, whereas the other one, because it's still got 8 men in it, it still has its 3 actions. It's one of the things I always forget in IABSM shot one. The amount of men really shows how many shots you get or how many actions you have. So the first one there, they've only got 2 actions. So their 2 actions are going to be firing. They're firing at these. They are about 18 inches away, so they are actually in effective range for infantry. However, because these are tactical, all gone to ground, it becomes long range because they are harder to hit. So with 2 dice, -4 because of their shock. This is going to affect them quite badly. So that is actually a 7, -4 is a 3. Nothing. That was an okay shot, nothing else though, so very poor. Then we've got these ones over here. These are firing with 3 dice. They're going to fire at the same one, just it makes no real odds because they're about the same distance, so 18 inches away. And they are firing at an okay shot, but it becomes a long range shot because they are tactical. So 3d6, no minuses on this, 7, 8, 9 hits. Sorry, that's 9 on the fire table, so that is 1 hit. So we roll that dice. 5 or 6 is a kill, 3, 4 is shock, 3, 4, so that is 1 shock. First shock on the British. They're doing great shooting, aren't they, the Germans? And then finally we've got the MMG. That, because it's firing through smoke, small mortar smoke, it is actually increases their range band as well. However, they are now over 18 inch away, so they're actually, they were going to be on the effective range, firing at somebody's tactical, also firing through smoke with a -6, but they've got three dice to fire. So that becomes long range anyway, they can't get better in long range, so that's just an okay shot at long range. 3d6, -6, 5 becomes -1, 0, you can't get less than 0. No effect, absolutely relatively desultory German firing really so far. So our next card, Axis Big Man 2. So this is Hans Bayer. He's actually on level 1, but what he's going to do, he's attached to a section. They've already fired anyway, so there's nothing they can do, so he can just reduce their shock from 4 down to 3, so at least it's getting them a bit of a better shot. So then we go on to the next card, Axis Blinds. Before I do the blinds, obviously there's only 1 card left, that's the tea break. So the blinds, the Germans are going to try to spot some British blinds, I think. Okay, over here we've got the Germans on blinds, and they're going to try to spot these British blinds. They've got 4 actions. The British use 4 of their dice this turn to move, So that's going to give the Germans a +4 on their spot. But I checked the range. They're both about 20 to 23 inches away. So we're looking. They're both badly obstructed as well because they're in these orchards and fields. So we're looking at least a 12 up for the Germans, but they get a +4, so they're looking for an 8 up. They've got 4 actions. So they're going to try to spot both of them. So they're going to spend an extra action on that, so it's going to take it up to a 7 rather than an 8 to spot either of them. So first one here, just quickly roll, see what we got. 6, they haven't spotted the first one. They're going to then try to spot this one. They could try and spot that one again if they wanted to, but we're going to try and spot this platoon over here instead. So same again, 7 up. 11, they've spotted them. This is platoon 1, so I'll just get those put on the table. That means that the Germans still can't be fired at because they're on blinds, but it also means that they now have located and targeted those British over here. So here we have Allied Platoon 1, so this is these guys here, so they are commanded by Allied Big Man 2, this fella here, and then we've also got Allied Big Man number 1 as well. He was attached to them. I attached him before the game started. So they're all here together. They've been spotted. As I say, the Germans can't fire on blinds, but they can't be fired at as well. So those cards are then going to go into the deck. So now we've got quite a big deck as well now. So I'll give those a shuffle and we'll draw the next one. Okay, first card. Allied Platoon 3, so that's back on the other side of the table. They are the ones that are slowly advancing on the Germans, basically just using them as a blocking force. So this is all the units in that platoon can fire or move or go to ground. Okay, so it's the British platoon over here. Relatively complicated. What I'm wanting to do here is, so we're going to actually use them as a platoon. These two are both going to fire first of all at these Germans here. These ones are going to then try to move around this side and probably go tactical again. Then we're going to get the mortar to drop some smoke or attempt to drop some more smoke in front of this OK section here. The other one, I'm relatively happy with that because that's pretty badly damaged. So first of all, tactical comes straight off for both of these. Is it worthwhile them going back to tank? No, because I'm going to try to put smoke down as well. So I want to fire first of all and then put smoke down. They're about 18 inch away, just less than 18. So this is actually effective range. It's an okay shot because once again they're just behind some hedges. So we are rolling 3d6 for the first ones. Well, let's see what happens with these. That's 11, 12, 13 on the firing dice. Is actually 3 hits and a pin as well. So that is I'm just going to put a marker down on these shock markers down to show that they're pinned. 2 of those show that they're suppressed. So we've got 3 hits and pinned. So let's see what those 3 hits are. 5 6s are kills, 4 5 shocks. So 1 shock and 2 kills. So that's 2 kills off. Also, actually, I've got to test to see if the big man is hit. If he's one of those killed. Let me just put some shock on these while I remember. What did we say it was? It was 1 shock, wasn't it? So actually, that's reasonably good shooting straight away for the first British section. So let's just put that on. So we have to test if the big man has been hit, and we do this with a D10. So 1 or a 2 on a D10, and he's killed. Let's have a look. 4, no he's not. So he got away with that, but that has pinned them and also caused those couple of kills. So we've got the second section. This is the one here with 1 shock, so they're taking 1 off their dice. Do they fire again, that same section? Just keep blatting away at them. Yes, we're going to. I'm going to use all 3 dice on those, so it's going to be the same again. -1 dice. So well, that's what they wanted. That is 16, -1 is 15. That's almost as good as they can get. That's an effective range, 3 hits, so that is another pin. So I think a second pin actually causes a suppression on them. So that means they're unable to move until that has been removed. And then 3 hits on them. So let's just see what those hits are. So that's another kill and also 2 more shock as well. So they are taking some hammer. And that means, let's see if that big man is hit on a 1. He is. 6, no he isn't. So that's another kill on there. So I'll just swap that out. 2 more men. So that now means they are now on 5. So they are getting less and less effective. So they're only rolling 2 dice for their for their actions. So these now are suppressed, they can't move or fire for the rest of this turn, which is unfortunately because this is the first card of this turn. So then what we're going to do is try to put some smoke down in front of this section over here. So I'm going to try and drop it here. Instead, this is the second smoke for the British. Let's just see if it deviates or not. It does, it goes that way 1 inch, so that's pretty good, to be perfectly honest. Then their final action for this turn for their platoon is these guys over here. I'm going to move them and then send them tactical. So let's have a look. They are moving 6 inches and then going tactical at the end of that move. I could have fired with them, but I don't want to. I want to get these into a relatively good position round this corner to bring a bit more fire onto the Germans. So it's all about manoeuvre and fire at this point. I don't want it to be a desultory long-range firefight. So next up card is Allied Big Man 1. This is our leader Arthur Jones. He's a level 3, so he's with the platoon over here, so he might get them to activate or even activate the blind to spot as well. Actually, what Arthur is going to do is, instead of activating that blind, he wants to get these 3 British sections into cover at least, because at the moment it's a little bit precarious. So they're going to use all 3 actions to move into the various cover, and he's just using them on the sections. So the first one here, they're going to go for this hedge over here. So let's have a look, see how far they go. 5 inches, not very far. I know there's that German threat, but at the moment it can't actually fire at them. He's going to be moving with those as well, so he doesn't actually fire at them at this point. They can't fire at it and vice versa. I'm hoping that the British blind card will come up before so they can do this. This is the second one, 7. These were heading towards this house here, so he was just going to come up to this, up to the hedge line here on the back, like I said, just to get some cover and move forward. And then the final one, these are heading again out towards this kind of way up here. So this is 11 inch for them. So that's pretty good sprinting there. Obviously, if that German blind hasn't been revealed by the end of the tea break, they may. Well, I think that actually they still need to be spotted because they're in cover. Okay, so that's his turnover. Next card draw. Allied blinds. Look at that. Perfect timing. So the blinds in the forest over there, they are probably going to try and spot those Germans, I think, in the building, and just see what happens. So our British blind is going to try to spot the German blind in the buildings. They're badly obscured, so that starts at a 12. They're about 22 inches away. They haven't moved, so that takes them to a 13 to spot. However, they have got 4 actions, one of which they're using to spot, so they can use another 3 to add on to that. So that's 13, it takes it down to 10, so they need 10 up on 2d6. I'm happy to keep these on a blind because, again, they can't be shot at if they're on blinds, so they may as well stay on them. So let's see a 10 up. 4, they have not spotted those Germans just yet. So we know they're there, but we're just not entirely sure where. Next draw is Axis blinds. Okay. Right, so the only blind is the one that's in that farmhouse. Are they going to deploy and fire? Or are they going to try to spot those British as they come in? Oh, it's a bit of a tricky one, this. Sometimes you're better off staying on the blind, sometimes you're better off getting off the blind. I mean, the British are moving in, so I think it might be time to reveal themselves. So all of a sudden the Germans have appeared, bristling with machine guns from this farmyard here. Unfortunately for them, they are pretty badly battered, but we've got our big man is attached to this unit here. When they deploy from blinds and fire, they use their basic actions. Unfortunately for these guys, well, big man number 1 is Jürgen Klemp. He's got a level 3, so he gets a +3 on his firing because he's using his actions, so it's like an ambush. But they've only got 2 actions to fire and a -5 for the shock, so it's only a +2. Firing at this British section over here, let's just quickly measure that distance. That is 11 inches. So that is actually effective range. However, it is, I'm going to say that's a poor shot because they are firing through those hedges and also through the thing as well. The British will get the same shot back, a poor shot. So I'm not just tipping it in the Germans' favour. So 2d6 -2, 10 is the maximum they could get. Potentially they could do some damage, we'll see. That's a 7, -2 is 5. 5 on a poor shot at effective range is nothing. We do have the machine gun, that is also firing as well. That is firing with 3d6. If that takes any more shock, it's going to lose its bottle. It's currently on. It's lost its bottle. We lost its bottle off the table, so it's going to be slightly complicated. But if it takes any more shock, it will fall away. But this is actually at this is close range, up to 18 inches. So this is firing with 3d6. Another poor shot though. That is 12-14 on that dice, is 3 hits and a pin as well for these ones. So let's see what those hits are. So that is 1 kill, but no shock, but they are pinned. So they're going to need their big man to remove that or wait till the end of the turn. One or the other. So that's what happens when you get caught in the open. And we've got that final German section as well over here. They are also going to fire over here. This is going to be effective range as well. I think. Let me just check actually, it might not be. They've got 180 degree fire. So 18 inch, yes, 19 inch, yes. They are just, I'm going to call it just in effective range, but it's still going to be a poor shot. Their big man is there. He is a level 2, I believe. That's big man. Big man 1, he's a level 2, yes, so it's a +2, -4 for the shock, so it's a -2, but they're again only firing with 2 dice, so 2d6 -2, that is 8, -2 is a 6, 6 is no effect, but they have pinned this section over here. So I've now thrown in those German cards, just ready for the shuffle at the end of the turn. So actually I can take out that German blind card because there are no more Axis blinds. There is one more British blind, so keep the Allied blind in, but the German blind out. I've added the pinned to that unit. Next one is Axis Big Man 4, so that's our fella on the other side of the table. He has got a suppressed unit he's attached to, so he is just going to take off that suppression, so they are now pinned at least. Then, oh, there we go, T-break. Right, everybody who is pinned suddenly is no longer pinned, so that was good for the German. He's just taken them down to a pin, so he will now, they are no longer pinned. So I'll shuffle these cards up and we'll see what happens next. Okay, start of a new turn. Allied blinds. Right, so the blinds, there's no point them spotting. Is there any point them actually being on a blind? Probably not. I think I'm going to deploy the last British blind and get them firing on that farmhouse and start reducing those Germans. Okay, so we've got first section is just going to fire at those Germans there. They get a +2. They've got Toby, Toby Jones, I think he's called. This is platoon 2, it's Toby Scott. He's a level 2 lieutenant, so he gets to add 2 to their firing dice. It's going to be a poor shot at effective range though, I think. Let's just double check that. And they're firing at that MMG, yes, they're just within 18 inch, so it's effective range. A poor shot, but they do get a +2. They're firing with all 3 of their dice. So let's see, because I want to put some smoke down as well. So we got 10, 12, 14 on a poor shot. That's probably about as good as it gets. That's 2 hits on that MMG. Let's see what happens. 5, 6 of the kills. 2 kills. So that has reduced the MMG fire. That's not good for them, for those poor Germans. However, that also means as well that the machine gun now has got 1 crew, and it I think it's gone down to 1 action. It also will fall back 6 inches as well because it now has 3 excess shock to men, so it's lost its bottle, so that will fall back and run away to about here. So that is effectively put that out of action. So good shooting there, Sex. Meanwhile, next thing they're going to do is they're going to use their mortar to fire smoke once again. These are my smoke markers, and they're going to try and put this down in front of the farmhouse here somewhere. So we'll just chuck this down and we'll see where that lands. So it's just a deviation dice with a d6. I want it to land there, but it goes, so I rolled it on camera. So it goes 5 inches further away, so that's not great. That's kind of pretty ineffective. But meanwhile, we've still got two more sections that can do something. I don't want them to fire. I want to get these across the road to attack down here, and these ones across this road to get into a position to fire there while these come in the side. First ones are going to move here, 2d6 because they're crossing hedges. So let's have a look, 7 inches, and as I said, I wanted them to get onto the other side of this hedge here, so we'll bring them up to there. So that's still a poor shot shooting through that orchard. Meanwhile, the other ones, I'm going to try to get them onto the other side of the road over there. So they are moving on 9 inch, because again they're only moving two dice, but that's enough to get them to where I wanted them, which is this position here. So we're in a relatively good position there, despite that smoke going awry. So once again, as you can see, I put in our Allied Big Man 3 and also the Allied Platoon 2 as well in there. I can now take out that Allied Blind card because we don't need it anymore, because there's no more Allied Blind, so just get rid of that. Next up is the Axis machine gun bonus. So there's really only one machine gun that can fire, and that's on the other side of the table. So let's see what that does. I don't think this is going to be particularly effective. We've got this machine gun here firing with 6 shock on it through smoke as well, so that is increasing its range band by 1. So it was effective range, but it's now gone to long range. Firing with -6 of its dice. I'm going to say it's an okay shot because they're just in the open firing through hedges, but it is at long range. So -6. So that is a 4 in total. Nothing, 0, no effect. Right, next up, one thing just to mention while we're speaking about machine guns, I'd seen a house rule that basically when a unit gets down to 0 actions, as the enemy machine gun on their right flank had, then they take them off, and I'm going to do that. I've just removed it. That's the one that ran away basically, so it's been completely combat ineffective at this point. They're not going to be adding more men to it. Allied Big Man 1, so this is our overall leader. So this is Arthur Jones, the level 3. He's in a great position to get some of these units moving forward as well, I think. So first of all, he's going to get a mortar to, he's going to get that team to fire smoke here again, if it can. So let's just see. So I was going to put it there, so this time it drifts this way 3 inches. So this comes to about there. So it's not blocking the line of sight to the front, but it is blocking it out here, so that's relatively useful at least. Then his second activation is he's going to get the section he's with to move as far forward as they can. They're going to be hopping this fence here, so let's just see. So that's going to take off D6 movement, so that's 11 inches for them. He wants to get them. I was going to move them up to that fence there because they've already hopped to one fence, so they can't do anything else. So at least they're in a pretty good position to be laying down fire when they get a chance. It won't be this turn, but it's put them in a prime position for getting these ones to move up. Then he's going to try to get these are also going to move as well. Now, if they get to this fence line, which they're going to try to do, they will then be within 4 inches of that unit there, which will mean they will go into close combat. Exciting stuff. So we're going to try and do that. They're crossing a fence line. Let's just see if this works. Normally I'd like to have them a little bit more hammered than they are before we attack, but you never know. Who knows? It could come up roses. Let's just see. They have moved 5 inches, so they're actually nowhere near it anyway. But that's it. They're in the orchard and just trying to push a little bit forward. Obviously they lost their bottle before they went in, so that's them moved up. Next card, Allied Platoon 3. Okay, so that's the ones on the Allied right flank that are slowly pushing forward, or at least blocking those Germans on their left flank. So let's see what they can do. So the British over here, it's their platoon, so they're in a relatively good position actually. So what I want them to do is just basically shift forward, but then also fire as they do. So we're going to be moving slowly forward, 1d6, and then firing with 2d6. Bringing fire down onto this section here because they are very badly mauled. I might fire at the LMG, and then I'm going to put some more smoke down because why not, really. Right, so first of all, let me just double check what range we're actually at. We said we're at just 18, so I want to get them a little bit closer. So the first one's here, -1 off their movement, 1 inch, so that far forward. Then they're going to fire with 2 dice at these ones here. We are, double check this, we are currently at 17 inches away, thereabouts. So this is still an effective range. It's an okay shot. The -1 for their shock though. So let's just get that done. So that's 7, sorry, -1 is a 6, is 2 hits. So 6 up, 5, 6 is kill. So we've got a 1 and then a 5, so that is a kill. There is a big man attached. Is he the one that is shot? Yes, he is. So they've shot one of the German big men. That's number 4. So his card will come out of the deck when I get to it. That's not good. Now this is the thing. There's no force morale in I Ain't Been Shot, Mum. That would be a bad things happen if it was. Okay, next one. Moving again. More 1 inch. So once again, firing again though, and they are going to be firing with 2d6 at the same target. So it's going to be the same as well. It's we're an okay shot between 9 and 18 inch. So that is a 7. An okay shot. That has given them another 2 hits on those Germans. So let's just see what happens. 4 and a 3 is shock. That takes their shock up to 5. So they're 5 for 5 at the moment. Any more shock, they will start falling back. Then finally this one here. These are going to go from tactical. Cost them nothing. They're moving forward 3 inch. So this is just slow push forward. But as I say, these were meant to just hold the Germans in place here anyway, and they've certainly done that so far. So they're firing 11, and this is going to be on the same range band. This time it is 2 hits again. So God, there's a lot in that 2 hits. So 5, 6 is a kill, 3, 4 shock, a kill and a shock. So shock goes up to 6. That takes their kill. That takes their shock over their kill by 2. So we've got another man off there. So that means they are 4 for 6, so they are 2 shock over, so they are falling back 4 inches. So we'll just push them back to there. And they've lost their bottle. And then we are going to... Should we put smoke down or should I fire at the... Actually, I'm going to fire at the German machine gun. So it's in the open. But it's over effective range, so it's over 18 inches. We can see it, but it needs a 5 or a 6 to cause 1 shock. Or is it better to put smoke down? I think it's probably better to put smoke down actually with these things. I could force that machine gun back. Yeah, go on, but let's try and force the machine gun back. 5 or a 6 causes a shock. 1, no effect. So the mortar did nothing. So next card. Axis Big Man 4, he's just been shot and killed, so we'll take that out. Next up, Allied Big Man 4. Okay, he's on the right hand flank. He can't do anything with his unit because they've all moved as a platoon card, but he has, what I'm going to do, I'll do it off camera, but he's going to move to the section that has shock and reduce shock. So I'll do that off camera in a second once I've sorted these out. Oh, okay, Axis Platoon 1. These are the ones in the farmhouse. So these lads are going to be doing some firing, I think. Currently, these Germans aren't really showing themselves to be master race at the moment, are they? Right, so anyway, we're going to fire with this Zug at these ones here. These are less than 9 inches away, so they are actually at close range. It's going to be an okay shot because they're firing through fences, and then we're going to get these ones to fire at this section over here. And they are 14 inch away, so that's an effective shot, and that's going to be a poor shot though anyway. So let's first of all get our these have only got actions of 2, so they're only rolling 2 dice, and they are firing, we said it was close range and it's an okay shot, so 2d6 but -5 for that shock. I need to get rid of that shock. 4 becomes 0, so nothing. And then over here excuse me, these are also firing with 2d6 with a -4, but this is effective range and it is a poor shot because of the trees and the orchards. So let's have a look. 10 -4 is 6 in total. Poor shot, 1, that is 0, sorry. If they got a 7 they would have hit something, but no firing for the Germans, or very poor firing. Next up, we've got Axis Platoon 2, so that's the one on their left flank then, that are currently getting battered. So let's see what they can do with that. Okay, the Germans over here, we're going to fire with this section here. This basically can't fire. They've only got one action left because they've got 4 men. They've lost their bottle and they're firing with 1d6 if they did fire. So that would be basically, they can't move because it's -6 off their movement dice. It's also -6 off their firing. The maximum they could get is 6, -6, 0. So what we're going to do is fire with these first of all over here. Then I'm going to move these ones up to the hedge line to actually start firing as well. We've got this MMG, which again, we'll see what that does. We'll open fire with the MMG first of all. That is again still behind that fog bank basically, so that is going to fire at 3d6, but obviously at a longer range. It should be at effective range. Actually no, I've got to check because they've moved, haven't they now? So let's see, they are, no, it's still at effective range, but it becomes long range because they are firing. So they're firing through fog. So oh god, 666, the number of the beast. -6 for their shock, so that is 12. But it's an okay shot at long range. So that's probably the best they could have got. That's 1 hit. We're going for that middle section here. 2, no effect. Very poor. Over here, these have only got 2 actions. They are also firing through the fog bank as well. I think they're possibly over 18 inch. Let's have a look. Yeah, just over 18 inch. So that is long range for them. It's an okay shot, but it's the worst they can get is okay shots anyway. How much? They got 3 shot, so -3. 6 -3 is 3. Nothing, no effect from that firing. And then, as I said, the other ones can't do anything. So we're going to try and bring the other one forward and then fire off at least 1 shot. So it's going to bring them forward 2d6, so -2 off those. So they actually move 2 inches. But I'm just going to put them on the other side of the fog bank there, or the smoke. And then they are going to fire. It's going to be a poor shot. It's going to be at long range. No, it's going to be an okay shot at long range. -2. The best they'd need an 8 up to do anything, so they can't really fire. So I may as well just move them again. -2d6. So a little bit of a fudge there for you, but I think circumstances allow the occasional fudge. Our next card then is Axis Big Man 2. That's the guy over here with that section who's just done stuff. So I'm going to actually reduce shock on the section he's with. He's only a level 1, so he only reduces 1 shock, but at least he's got some shock off them, if nothing else. Just off camera. Then Axis Big Man 1 is our man in the platoon 1, but he can't do anything because his platoon has already done something, but he can actually reduce shock, and he's a level 3, so I'm going to just reduce shock with him. I'll do it off camera in a second. T-break. Okay, anybody who is pinned is no longer pinned. All the smokes, if the first one now has gone to 3, so I've just got to put these dials up on the smoke. So the first one that fired has now disappeared, but the other ones are starting to work their way down. So start the next turn. Allied Platoon 3, okay, so that's these guys on the right flank. So I think they're going to carry on advancing and firing. Okay, so we've got Platoon 3. These are going to advance in a line, fire at this section, then we're probably going to put some smoke down with that mortar once again. I think that's the simplest thing to do, that's the greatest threat. So I'll advance them all first of all, and then we'll fire with them because they're all going to do the same thing. First one here, 2 inches. So it is a slow push forward, but a push forward is better than nothing. The next one, 1 inch. So they're very tentative in their advance, and then the final one on this side, they're 2 inches as well. So, okay, so stumbling over the ground as they advance, but that might put them a little bit closer. They are now 16 inch, and yes, 16 inch there. So they are definitely in effective range at this point. Only using 2 dice to fire from each one though. It's an okay shot because of where they are. So first one is, look, no, mine says 11 again, probably as better as it's going to get. 2 hits on those Germans, 5-6 kill, 3-4 shock, 1 kill, 1 shock. So this is what we like to see. So that takes them up to there. There's no big man attached to them, so that's just a kill. Second one, that is a 6 on the same table. That is 2 more hits, so see what happens with those. 5-6 kill, same again. Oh, 1 shock, but again pecking away at them slowly, and that has now reduced them to 2 firing dice, or 2 action dice. And then the final one, 4, is nothing, so that's not done any effect at all. So what we're going to do now is use that mortar, and it's going to try to drop smoke again, but we're going to try and put it in front of this unit just to stop them firing when it's their turn to fire. So just need that dice for the deviation. It's on target, so I can ignore where it's gone, so it lands exactly there. So that's at the end of their go. Well, this British advance might be a bit slow, but it is pretty effective. Anyway, next card, T-break. Okay, so all the smoke increases by 1, and there is nobody who is pinned, so they don't become pinned. So I'll do that, and we'll shuffle up and see what the next card is. First card this turn is Allied Big Man 3. Okay, so that is section 2. So I want to get them moved forward to do a bit of firing on that farmhouse, I think. So Big Man 3 is Toby Scott over here. I want to get these moved forward to a position over here so they can shoot at the Germans from there, and then also get his section to jump in behind them, so fire manoeuvre basically. So the first ones are going to be jumping that hedge, trying to get up to behind this building here. That is 8 inches. Have they made it? I think they probably have done. Yes, they have. So these are in a position here behind this small building. Out of line of sight of the Germans as well, and making sure of that even if the figures are slightly over. And then these ones are going to be jumping across over there as well, so they're jumping a hedge. So let's see how far they get. 7 inches, that's all they're going to do. I just want to get them into a good position to flank the building itself. He's only got an activation of 2, not a lieutenant, so let's just put him there. Just put that tree back and then draw the next card. Right, next card, Allied Platoon 1. Okay, so these are in a relatively good position at the moment. They're wanting to push forward a little bit and possibly do some shooting if they can. Right, first of all, we've got the mortar, and that's going to fire. I'm not firing smoke with it this time. It is actually firing at this section here. So 4, 5, 6, 5 or 6 because he's out of line of sight, and it causes 1 point of shock. Yes, so 1 point of shock. Trying to build up some shock on this unit so I can assault them, because what I want to do next is then fire with this section at them, and then I'm going to try to move these in to attack them in close assault. But first I'm going to move this section here. It's British section. They want to be moving as far as they can to this side, so again want to be flanking this position. So they're just going to pile over there. Now they've got protection at the front, so that is 5 and 4 is 9, so 9 inches. So they're going to be around about here. As I said, we've got a screen protection over there, so I'm happy for them to move in the open a little bit and to get round into that back corner if they can. Then we're going to be firing with our section over there. They've got a full range of dice. They are at close range, firing at the Germans here. So close range, up to 9 inches. It's an okay, actually no, it's going to be a poor shot because they're firing into the buildings. I'm counting all that as being a building because I can't actually get into the building. So it's going to be a poor shot, but at close range. So 3d6, full effect, see what they get. 9, 10, 11 is 2 hits. They do have a big man in there, so potentially there's a potential chance of a kill. So let's have a look. 5, 6 kills. 1 kill, no shock. Let's see if it's on that big man. If it's a 1, then it is. Yep, the German big man has been hit and killed. So that's big man number 1. So that's wiped him out, unfortunately. So once again, that would be a bad things happen if the Germans, if we were playing another game. Right, with that in mind, that's good going for the British, what they're going to do is now move this section and they're going to try to charge these into close assault. They only need to get up this hedge line, but they're going to try and cross it anyway, so they would be using 3 dice, but they're using 2 dice to get it, so let's just see how far they get forward. 4 inches, that should be enough to bring them in because they are less than 8 inch away, so yes, they are actually in that road now. So what I'll do is I'll tot up the points for the close assault and we'll see what happens with that. So I've added up the dice. The Germans have got 2, 4, 6. The British have got 2, 4, 6, 8. So it's pretty close actually. As with all Lardy rules, 5s and 6s are kills, with 6 causing shock as well. So I'll just roll them all together, pull out the 5s and 6s. So what we've got, Germans have caused 1 kill. Oh look, British have caused 1, 2, 3, 4 kills. So that's practically wiped them out anyway. So that's 1 kill on the British, so I'll take 1 off. And then also we've got 4 kills on the Germans, so I'll take those off. And we've also caused 3 shock on those as well, so that is 6 shock. And there is only 2 men, so that's 4 shock more, so that's 8 shock in total. And but they are defeated by 3. They run away 12 inches facing away from the enemy, add 2 points of shock for each so basically they are suppressed for the next turn. They run away 12 inches. 12 inches from where they are is off the table because that would take them off anyway with their shock, so that has completely obliterated that section of Germans there. It was worthwhile doing, I think. It was close, but it was well worth doing. Okay, next up we have Allied Platoon 3, so that's back on the slow grind forward chaps. Let's see if they can break a hole in the German line. So as before, these chaps are just going to advance in that line forward. They might fire with their... yeah, we're going to fire with the mortar first of all, so 4, 5, 6 cause a shock on that machine gun. Let's have a look. 6, yes, it caused a shock on that machine gun, so that has then caused them 7 to their 4, so that's 3, so they are falling back 6 inches. So that was well worth doing, wasn't it? Just to, let's just see, they're falling back, and they are going to fall back into this orchard over here. So we basically pretty much banjacks that machine gun. I don't think that's going to come back into action anytime soon. And was useful doing. So we are then going to be advancing and once again firing at this centre section just to try and break that line, really, destroy this German flank. So they're all going to be moving and then they're going to fire with 2d6 after they've done their movement. So that's the simplest thing to do basically. So we'll start with the first one. 1 inch. God, they are slow. They're getting there though, getting there. Second one is 3 inches this time, so somewhere about there. Bring them forward, and then the last one over here, another 3 inches for them as well. So there you go, it's about 3 inch. Right, so let's see what kind of ranges we're actually at this point as well for these. So we're hoping up to 9 inch. No, we're still effective range for all of them, and they're all going to fire at this one section. Well, I'll do the firing individually and see what happens as it goes on. So first of all, firing across here, they are firing through smoke, their own smoke. So given that, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire from these ones over to these over here. This is an okay shot because they're just firing through the fences, but they are at 15 inch, so these two are actually going to fire over here and try and reduce this section instead. So we are on effective range. It's going to be an okay shot, and first one, a 5 on an okay shot. That range is just 1 hit, but they do have a big man in there as well, so 3, that is a shock on them. It's always worthwhile picking away at them at least with shock, if nothing else. Then the second one is going to do the same, fire at the same target. That's 11, again almost as good as it's going to get. That is 2 hits on them, so same again, 5, 6 as the kills. 2, 3, so that's 2 shock. That hasn't pushed them over the edge yet. There is 7 men in that section. Now the other ones could potentially fire at them, but I think they're just, I'm going to make them fire here. It's, you know, they're too far away, so they're firing through smoke, so it becomes long range, and it's an okay shot. So 2d6, they need 8 up actually to do anything. 6, no effect. So they've advanced a little bit, done a little bit of firing. Next card then is Axis Big Man 2. Okay, that's the guy over here on the left. He's only got 1 activation, so I'm going to try and reduce shock. Well, he's going to reduce shock on that section, bring it down to 4 from 5. That's all he's doing. That's all he can do. Axis Platoon 1. Okay, these are the guys that are in the the farmhouse itself. So let's see what they do. So over here we got Axis Platoon 1. These, I'm going to allow them to fire at the ones behind there. They can't fire the ones behind the building because they're hiding, but they could fire at them before. It is going to be a poor shot and it's effective range. They're not behind smoke, which is good, but they are only firing with 2d6 and -4, so I don't think it's going to be very effective. But let's have a look. 5 and 2 is 7, -4 is a 3, so no, that is no hits whatsoever. Okay, let's draw these cards. Alright, first up is, oh, it's our Allied Big Man 2. His platoon has already moved. He's got no shock to withdraw, so there's no point in doing anything. Move on. Axis Big Man 3. His platoon has just fired. So all he can do actually is reduce shock, and he is, can't read from here, level 1 I think. He's only a level 1. No, he's a level 2, so he's a fighter, so he can reduce 2 shock. So again, I'll just do that off the camera, but he's reduced 2 shock on the unit in the farmhouse. Axis machine gun bonus. The machine gun can't really fire, there's too much in front of it, and there's no real targets for it anyway. I think it's pretty much lost its bottle. Axis Big Man 1, he's dead. He was killed previously, if you remember, so he's out. Allied Big Man 4, okay, that's our guy on Platoon 3. He can't do anything because his platoon has already done something. So Allied Platoon 2, okay, so this is the middle section. Only a couple of these have actually done something at this point, so yeah, just check through. Allied Big Man 3, so yes, he's only moved 2 of the sections, so we've still got a mortar and another section to move as well with those if they want. Okay, first things first, they are going to try to fire some smoke, to get some smoke down here first of all, because these two are currently running out. So let's just see. It goes 1 inch this way, so that's actually perfect. So that's blocking line of sight for those Germans there now. Just move that marker there so I know which is which. Those 2 other smokes will disappear, unfortunately for them. Now I've got this other section here which currently aren't in a great position. Actually, I'm going to run them across the road up to this building, I think. So I'm going to use 3d6 to get them up to the side of that building. Let's have a look. Yes, they've done that. Plenty enough. And I said I was coming here, so they're going to get up to there, so they're in cover. I just wanted to move forward a little bit. Then card is T-Break. We'd almost got through it then. What have we got left? Allied Big Man 1 and the Axis Platoon 2 as well. So let's give them a shuffle and start up again. Actually, at the end of T-Break, I've just got to clear off some of the smoke, so I'll just do that. Let me just shuffle these cards first of all, and then I will clear off the smoke that has now cleared. First up, Allied Platoon 2. Okay, these are the ones in the middle. They are getting close actually for a close assault, so they might do that. Let's have a look, see what they do. So what we want to do is, I'm going to do these because I'm acting as a platoon. You don't have to do a unit's actions until the other ones are finished. So I'm going to charge these in, and I'm going to charge these in so we can actually overwhelm them, and then potentially try to get these further forward. But let's just see what happens first of all. First of all, I am firing a mortar. They can't see, so they need a 5 or a 6. They're not in line of sight, should I say. So they need a 5 or a 6 just to cause 1 shock on the Germans. No, they haven't done it. But we're going to charge in with these 3d6. So that is 9 inches. So let's see, that's definitely got them in. So it's not a perfect situation to attack into, but it's better than nothing. And then the other ones, they're going to do the same again. So this time that's 8, 9, 10 inches. yes, that's enough to get them in as well. So what I'll do is I'll go through the dice, sort them out, and I'll show you where we're at with the fighting. So we're back again. This might not actually play into the hands of the British. Let's see, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 dice against the Germans. 4, 6, 8, 9. So it's very close. 5s and 6s though, but they can take more kills at least. So let's just see. We'll roll them and take out all the 5s and 6s, of course. So let's see. Hard to see immediately. Oh, that's not great, is it? So two British they've killed 2 Germans and caused 2 shock. So puts them up to 4. The Germans have killed 1 British and caused 1 shock. So I'll take that one off. Just swap these round. A couple of Germans there, so 2 dead Germans there. That's not affected them. They haven't lost their bottle yet. The British have taken 1 shock. The results are the Germans have then been defeated by 1. So, oh, that's on the British. So we'll put that on there. So the British, they've been defeated by 1. So the Germans are thrown back 4-inch. This unit may not advance to the next turn, but may fire, spot, or undertake other actions. Aggressive or stubborn troops in defence ignore 1. No, they don't. They're not stubborn or aggressive, so they fall back 4 inches. So that's done, and I've actually got to test to see, I forgot to do this before, I've got to test to see if their big man is hit in the fighting. So a D10, 1 or 2, he's one of the ones that's been killed. See? 8, no he hasn't, so he's still alive, but they have fallen back 4-inch. So 4-inch is going to be somewhere on the other side of the building over here, so I'll just move those out. Then next card is Allied Platoon 3. Okay, these are the slow grind forwards. I think the Germans are probably getting close to calling this. I'm going to play till this next tea time and then see where we are with it, I think. Okay, so we're going to do similar to what we did before. First of all, the mortar is firing at these on the front line. They can't see them, so 5 or a 6, and it gives them 1 shock. 4, no effect. Then we are going to, actually what I'm going to do now is, I think I'm going to, I don't know, let's see how far away we are. We're a bit too far away to charge in, I think. We're 12 inches away. We'd need quite a bit. But I'm going to move these 2d6 and then fire enfilade, I think, on those. So 4 inches for these. Don't think they're going to be able to do a great deal with that firing, to be perfectly honest, but let's just shift them forward at least. I'm going to move the other ones forward as well. First of all, we're doing the same again, that slow press forward. So the first one there, they're moving 4-inch, so that's pretty good. And the other one, let's do them both 4 and 6-inch. They're finally picking up speed. So I'm going to come in here, and again, these ones are going to be firing at those on the side there as we're closing in. Let's just have a look at what ranges we're actually at. So here they're at 12-inch. They're at 14-inch, and then they're going to fire at those through that smoke, which is not going to be a great shot, but it's going to be better than nothing, I would have thought. Worthwhile doing. So let's have a look first of all at our first shot through the smoke. They normally would be on effective range, but that becomes long range. It's an okay shot. They're only rolling 1 dice. So they can't actually do anything anyway. They can't hit them. They need an 8 up, so there's no point in firing. So what I may as well do is just get them to move well, they declared that they were going to fire, so I'm not going to stop it. Over here we're firing at these. These are at effective range. It's an okay shot, and 2d6. Let's have a look. That's a 5. That's not a bit great. That's just 1 hit. 5 or a 6. Need a kill. 4. No, it's another shock on them at least. And let's have a look, put that on there, and then finally these ones, same again, not a great shot, and they are just at effective range still. 4 on effective range on an okay shot is nothing, so they've not done anything to them. So our next card is Axis Big Man 2. Okay, he's over here in the section that's just been shot at. They are pretty ineffective at the moment, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get him to reduce their shock down to 4 again. That's pretty much all I can hope for, that their platoon card comes up. So now it's the Allied Platoon 1. So that is on their left flank. They're in a good position as well to do some more arse kicking on those Germans, I think. So we've got a good chance here to wipe out this section using this section here, and also perhaps this one as well if they can get in. So what we're going to try to do is charge these in around here. They're probably actually about 4 inches away from at this point, but let's just see how they go anyway. So we've got 10, 14 inch, yes, so they're going to come in, so they're going to pile in here. Let's just get them in with their big man as well, and then we're going to try to run these in, but they're crossing a hedge, so they're only going to be moving 2d6, 5 inches. I don't think they're going to make it. Well, to be honest, they'll get to there. No, I'm just going to say it's a gnat's tit out, so I'm going to say they can't get involved in this hand to hand this turn, but at least the other ones have got in. So I'll add up the dice and I'll show you what the scores are. Okay, I've totted up the dice. The Germans have got 3 because they've basically been hit in the rear. The British have got 3, 6, 7. So still pretty close. 5s and 6s on both sides though, so let's just see what happens here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 kills for the British and a shock, so I'm going to put that shock straight on so I remember. And not a single one from the Germans, so that is 4 kills on the Germans. Let's see if one of those is on there. On their leader. 1, yes it is, so he's been killed along with 3 others. So there's 1 man left who now has more shock than ever. So he's been defeated by 4+. So he will fall back in 18 inches of disorder. Had 3 points of shock. There's no point. He's off the table. It's destroyed that Zug. I've got a feeling the Germans are probably going to throw the towel in there, to be perfectly honest. They are being smashed on this sector here. And let's just have a look at what the next card might be before we go on. Okay, let's have a look. It is... it's a tea break anyway, and I did say I think the Germans are going to throw in their towel at the end of this tea break, and I think they're definitely going to. What I'll do is I'll clear off the table of stuff and I'll show you the situation as is. So this is the game situation at the end of that turn, and as I say, the Germans are going to throw in the towel here just simply because holding on now would be a fool's errand, I think. So what happened here? We got platoon 3 of the British pushing forward, still slowly advancing forward on this German platoon over here. They did their job exceedingly well. All they did was basically they were meant to just hold the Germans in place here, and they did perfectly well. Unfortunately, the Germans couldn't hit a bloody barn door with a 20 paces, and their machine gun was in the process of running away, as were most of their men at this point, to be honest. They were close to breaking and losing their bottle a little bit more. I think took maybe another turn and they might have gone into close combat, and that would have probably finished off at least one of those sections. That position was just getting more and more untenable, really. But the victory was had over here around this farmhouse itself, where the final German platoon was. And you can see here we've still got the remnants of the close combat battle that they had here. So we've got the platoon 2 of the British, or B I suppose it was, piled in from here and destroyed that section. And then also platoon 1 over here tried to pile, well, half of them tried to pile in, but they still destroyed that section anyway, made them run away. The other thing, their 3rd platoon was working their way around the flank anyway to cut off any retreat for the Germans. They only had this very badly damaged platoon. These were damaged in the stonk at the start, if you remember, and they added nothing to the game, to be honest. They couldn't really do much because they couldn't reduce their shock, so they were pretty much battered from the beginning. But yeah, the British, with a combination of fire and manoeuvre and also just locking the enemy in position, really did well out of that. And just to show you how well they did as well from a casualty point of view, this is definitely a good day for the British. So here's the casualties of the game. There's the British. Let's get that in focus. 3 of them. there's the Germans. I can't even bother to count them up. Some of these came from the stonk, of course, at the start of the game. However, most of these happened during the game as well. 3 big men dead, and out of 4, and no big men dead from the British, just 3 riflemen. So absolute complete arse kicking by the British there. Just shows you really using period tactics of the time really works. You know, just basically moving forward whilst using smoke as much as possible to mask that firing, because that really put the kibosh on the German advance, on the German firing, should I say, especially with those twin MMGs that they had. They should have been chopping the British up, but they just didn't at all. Had no effect. What would I have done differently? With the Germans, would it be worthwhile getting stuff on the table quickly? The problem is when they're on the table they can be shot, whereas if you keep them off the table they can't be shot until they're spotted, but then kind of takes the initiative away from you. It's a hard one to play really, but the British certainly keeping their units on blinds all the way down that flank really played out, and just having the 2 platoons to cover one another I think really helped out as well, just having that weight of numbers against the Germans here, collapsing their flank and just making their position over here on the left hand side completely untenable. Whether they were still in good condition or not, the fact is they, you know, once that farmhouse has been cleared, you've got 2 more platoons there which are relatively fresh, just to be able to push straight into the flank of these, so it'd just be a case of rolling them up. I hope you've enjoyed this. I've gone through, like I say, I've got some more I Ain't Been Shot Mum videos on the channel. Go and check those out as well. They're a bit older, so slightly different. I'm going to be playing some more I Ain't Been Shot Mum because I really like it. I'd forgotten how much of a good game it is and how much I actually liked it. So check out in the future more I Ain't Been Shot Mum at some point. I'm not sure when and I'm not sure what, but this has been great fun. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next Storm of Steel video.